So welcome everyone to Vogeltown Park today, and our co-commentator, just a little plug for our key man who's helped us all season, Flynn, is of course Phil Gard, and Phil was an ex-coach or previous coach of Old Boys, but unfortunately he's got a work commitment. Last game of the day of the season, and he can't be here. So we've invited Flynn Robertson to help us out today, and Flynn's up from Wellington, ex-Old Boys High and ex-New Plymouth Old Boys. I believe that was the good old days, Flynn. We threw the ball around in Div 1.
Yeah. Played nearly all of my footy for Div 1, kept the bench warm for the Prems a couple of times, and I think over 5 games I would have played about 20 minutes for them total. So, not too bad at all.
Awesome, well done. And, of course, Flynn, you're coaching now down in Wellington and enjoying that?
Yeah. So I was a pretty mediocre player, a slightly better coach. We're down there with the St. Pat's second 15 and a little bit of work with Wellington under 16s towards the end of the year.
Awesome. Well, welcome back to Vogeltown Park. Exciting game today. Of course, New Plymouth Old Boys versus Clifton. There's been a big roar come up from the bank, which means that the Old Boys players are making their way out of the changing room. And it really is a big game today. Semi-final, so Old Boys have been in hot form all season. But of course, it doesn't count for much today because ultimately the winner takes the spoils, and we'll go through to the Taranaki Rugby Club final. So it's all on here at Vogeltown Park.
Yeah, no, we can see Old Boys, the home team, actually leading us down the tunnel, or leading us down the bridge. And Clifton following them out, not too far away from kickoff now. Very exciting season on the line for both teams. And like you said, all the form going into this game doesn't mean too much. It's the next 80 minutes that counts for everything.
Absolutely. And just run through the teams today. Of course, Daniel Waite leading the team out. We're probably going to be his last game at Vogeltown Park. It will be, actually. Daniel's been an outstanding contributor to both Old Boys and to Taranaki Rugby. So great to see him leading this team out. The front row today for the BCD Premiers. Mitch O'Neill up front with JJ Pokai at hooker. Toby Burkett, who's been in great form. He's on the tight heads today. Jackson Morgan in at lock with Botcher, the Canadian lock. Josh Williamson is in at number 6. Michael Loft, who just recently this week named again in the Taranaki team as open side flanker. And great to see Rowan Slater back at number 8. Had a couple of injuries, but he's straight back in there. Going into the backs, number 9 today, Sean Waite, my apologies. Braden Northcott Hill we're driving the team around the paddock from number 10. At 12 is Daniel Waite, 13 Josh Thompson, 14 Michael Millam, 11 Cody Ray, and number 15 Adam Smith, who's been in great form this season as well. So that's the BCD Premiers. And just very quickly run through the Clifton team. Very experienced, a lot of experience today. Jared Profit back from Super Rugby is number 1. Kay Fagali at hooker. Mike Kianga as tight head prop. Paddy O'Carroll Harmy, interesting move for him. He's been playing really well in the front row, but it drops to the second row, number 4. T. Hamilton in at 5. Guthrie in at 6. Bully Talo at 7. Dawai at 8. Setu at number 9. Now that's going to be an interesting call because he's normally a first 5. Matty James, the captain, at 10. Daniel Rona back from the Chiefs at 12. Moe Loyota at 13. Kini Naholo on 14. And Sotua Huta at 15. And the kick goes in and it doesn't look, just makes it 10 yards. Good work there actually by Daniel Guthrie. Gets under the ball. So Clifton got the ball inside Old Boys half. It was pretty soft really. And slow clearance out to Rona. He looks in great nick. Nice little kick down, no mucking around. Bouncing ball. Gets it back and charged down. Great pressure actually. And Old Boys just a wee bit slow out of the gates there, Flynn, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think, straight away this is going to be an early challenge for the Old Boys set piece. Having that extra front row on the side gives Clifton that extra lifter, but they're going to need to find a jumper in their loose forward, so it'll be interesting to see how they play this.
Yep, and great take there by Michael Loft, but man, this is uncharacteristic from Old Boys. They got nowhere near the kickoff and just virtually gifted Clifton the ball. And then good take there by Michael Loft, good strong lift. And Sean Waite may have taken his eye off the ball. So Clifton straight on to attack, 5 or 6 metres inside the 22. The backs all lined up. Of course, they've got a lot of pace. Flynn, you'd have to say. They've got guys who can certainly a bit zippier than we were in our day.
Yeah, well, they've got this number 12, Rona, playing nice and flat to the first 5, and they've given themselves a very wide backdoor channel out to their centre. So a lot of attacking options. Got to have fast line speed for Old Boys here.
Yeah, now it's in a hole and he just charges up. Good tackle, actually. Very no-nonsense tackle. Stopped the play in its tracks, really, but Will Johnson today, refereeing, said Old Boys didn't roll and slowing the ball down. So Sean Waite doing his utmost to make up for that little slip from the line out. And good defensive play, but I don't think there'll be any mucking around today. Clifton, they won't believe their luck that they've had a penalty gifted to them so early in the game.
Especially wet weather conditions, it looks like it's only going to get rainier as the 80 minutes progresses. You got to take the points while you can get them.
Yeah, good point. Actually, we haven't talked about the match conditions today. It's overcast, a wee bit damp. The ground looks in good nick, and but it is going to be a test of the players' skills with the handling. And we've got the Clifton number 10 and captain Matty James. Oh, and it's nudged off the side of the post. It looks like Miller might have taken that backwards, and a good clearance actually under pressure. So, yeah, really quiet start to the game. Hardly any fizz. Just to give you a quick update on the earlier games here at Vogeltown Park, the Elsco Division 1, very good one. Tight win from over Stratford, 17-12. So a good one there by the Div 1 boys. And then Pepper Construction Colts, it went right down to the wire. Penalty to Stratford in the last minute. And a 13-12 victory to Stratford puts them into the finals next week. So good line-out ball taken up by Rona, double played. Good tackle there by Boccia. He's been defending really well this season. Bit of a pass behind Jai Huda. And he's stripped in the tackle, and the call of move it comes from the coaching box, which is below us. So Old Boys gifted that possession. They got numbers out wide. Yeah, and good play there. Logan Ray brings the ball up, hits the 10-yard line, and good defence there from Clifton. Old Boys cleaners were probably a wee bit slow there. Flynn, what did it look like to you?
Yeah, I think initially they were a little bit slow off the counter-attack. Took them a little while to find it. We heard that call come from the coaches. Capitalised very quickly and found the space on the left side, but just didn't follow through with the passes, and got turned over against Ray about on halfway. Again, another penalty to Clifton. Yeah,
not a great deal of distance, you'd have to say. I thought the guy was going to pump it right into the corner, but just taps it into touch out on the 22. It's very much a shortened Clifton line out today. It's Hamilton in at 5. He looks like the tall timber. So I'll be really surprised if it goes anywhere else from him. Oh, good jump across by Loft. Taps the ball down, but Old Boys can't control it. And good recovery there by Clifton. Bit messy from the line out. Gets second phase ball about 5 or 6 metres out from the 22. Once again, Old Boys defence very, very solid, coming up very quickly. So a lot of line speed. Drop ball, he says he's going backwards, and the whole lot virtually stopped. I'm not sure why. Certainly not playing the whistle, that's for sure. So good call there from the referee, but once again, great tackle from Old Boys. Clifton are just going backwards at the moment. Probably lost 6 or 7 metres on the play. So very aggressive defence from Old Boys. So a wee bit more structure. They flick down the blind side. They've got numbers here, actually. Clifton, 13, flicks it out to Rona. He forces his way into the 22. And good play there by Rona, freed the ball up. Number 7 just puts his head down and charges, gets a good offload to the hooker. And once again, good decisive tackling there from Old Boys, and calls a knock on. Wee bit unlucky there for Hanley Setu. Hanley normally midfield second 5, been asked to play halfback today. And it's a bit of a contest here at the second phase, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think the Old Boys have shown a lot of aggression defensively. One thing that was pretty clear in those 6 or 7 phases after the line-out was I don't think there was a single jackal attempt there from Old Boys. They're pretty keen to just put 2 men in the tackle and to stop Clifton from getting to that advantage line.
Yeah, good point actually. Flynn, they've been doing, Old Boys have been doing this all year, the 2-man tackles have just been with good line speed and good discipline, been doing really, really well. They're a very, very difficult team to score against. And at the moment, they're just picking up scraps of possession, and it goes out to Northcott Hill, and he does a lovely kick. That's a fantastic kick. Takes play midway, halfway in 22, and yeah, fantastic effort.
Yeah, look, Clifton have had a lot of territory, a lot of possession, and for them to be able to come away with 0 points there is a very big win for New Plymouth Old Boys.
Yeah, absolutely, considering they had that early penalty, and it was definitely kickable, that's for sure. But, yeah, both teams just kind of sizing each other up at the moment, aren't they? They haven't really... Oh, good take there from just about Loft once again. He's been thrown up in the air. So Clifton win the ball out to their centres, and they're very busy number 7. He takes the ball up, back out to Matty James. He puts a high kick up, and big collision there, knock on by Clifton, the referee playing advantage. Scooped up early by, looks like it was Daniel Waite coming through. Heavy tackle there by Matty James. Hopefully he hasn't hurt himself. Unfortunately he's holding that arm, which doesn't look good. So quite a big collision there after the kick. It was a good op and under. Naholo didn't quite get under it. Adam Smith fell backwards, and good recovery there by the number 12, the Old Boys number 12, Daniel Waite.
Well, it started with great kick pressure from Old Boys, which took the long kick out of play. He was forced to kick short, and Clifton not quite good enough to contest that and to bring that back cleanly. Old Boys get another attacking opportunity on about halfway.
Yeah, so no real play in the Clifton half at all so far, and Old Boys looking very good defensively. But yeah, was a wee bit surprised with the slow start to the game. It's just not the fizz you'd normally see in the first 5 or 6 minutes of a semi-final.
No, we've probably seen a few more errors in this first 7 minutes than you'd really expect. Obviously, we've got a couple of very high-quality teams in the mix today. A few drop balls, a few times we've been a little bit slow from both sides to get themselves to the ruck. Feels like they're just trying to edge their way into the game. Hopefully, we'll see that correct itself over the next few minutes.
Yeah, awesome. So good news is that the Clifton 10 and captain, he's okay. And referee calls him back for the scrum. First time, I think, with Old Boys put in. Just inside their own half. They've got Cody Ray standing in at first 5, so automatically an extra back. Clifton is sort of aware of the kick, so they've dropped Naholo back inside the 22. And, just a scramble. Good scrum by... A great scrum by Clifton. They just put their heads down and pumped their legs, drove Old Boys backwards. That was a bit of a shock for them. The number 8, unfortunately, couldn't keep it under control.
Well, we mentioned it in that first line out of the game. Having that extra prop in your scrum to jump in behind your front row just gives you another big engine to push through, and that's going to be something that Old Boys are going to struggle with all day, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they've certainly got the size there, Clifton. So we're not suggesting that locks don't normally push, because of course they do. We're just saying that props love it.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to fight against that. Big attacking scrum for Clifton. This will be a big test for Michael Loft on the side. Yeah,
and good run by Sedu actually. Puts his head down and just goes. And the Holo comes in, acts as half-back out to Matty James. Back inside to young number 6, Daniel Guthrie, does well actually. And pick and go there from the forwards. Be interesting how Clifton play this, because they've got a bit of size, but Old Boys, as I say, have been defending well all season. So Rona comes in, they're sort of clustering around the ball at the moment. There's no real depth or width on the plays at the moment. And wow, that was soft play there. Unfortunately, the number 3 for Clifton, Mike Koanga, he just couldn't get himself out of the way. So of course, Profit was doing the carry. He had nowhere to go apart from into him, and they just gave away a really soft, accidentally offside. So they'll be disappointed with that, Clifton, because they had good midfield position and starting to get themselves organised around the attack.
Yeah, they're just beating themselves a little bit right now. Old boys aren't putting any pressure on their rucks. They should be able to back themselves to hold possession for long stints of time, but a lot of early knock-ons, and then just a poor gameplay penalty there. It keeps old boys in the game, and they'll be able to exit here.
Yeah, and of course the second scrum, they won't. Old boys will be digging it in because they went backwards at a fast rate of knots the earlier scrum. So it'll be a bit of a wake-up call, I think, for the front row.
The scrum's also just outside of the 22, so old boys won't be able to kick this one out on the full.
Yeah, good point. You see the midfield talking at the moment, and Slater at number 8 today, and Sean Waite having an interesting conversation as well about how they're going to exit. This is quite a big blind though, Flynn. The left wing for Clifton's dropped back. Once again, he's covering for that kick. But man, there's a massive hole for an 8-9 play, and Slater, away he goes. He tucks the ball under his hands though, only makes 6 or 7 metres. Gets close to the 10-yard line. Old boys come in for the clean out. Thrown out the back by the prop to nobody, and then out to Cody Ray, and he says, hey, there's nothing on out here, let's get downtown. And great kick actually, well taken by the Clifton fullback. Brings it back to his 10-yard line. Nice measured kick down inside the 22, and here's Northcott Hill, and just a fantastic nudge. Beautiful line kick, takes play inside the Clifton half. So yeah, probably not the reward that old boys were looking for from that scrum. It was a good solid platform from them, but the 8th, no call maybe from the fullback who was standing on the far right hand side, Adam Smith. He was completely unmarked. He probably had a 30-metre run if the ball got to him.
I agree, but that said, after that little kicking duel, for Northcott Hill to be pinned in his own 22, under pressure, and to find themselves defending a line out outside of their own half, I think is a pretty excellent result, and just a result of a very, very good kick.
Yep. Oh, great hole to run into from, it's actually number 20. The
Fowl.
Yeah, he's come on. Listed as one of the reserves today, and great kick across, big chase, and just beats a diving Taihuta. And good play there from old boys, good thinking, sharp, quick take by Sean Waite, pushes up. Old boys aren't putting much pressure on, they're not sprinting up. What they're doing is they're going up in line, and probably a bit of a mistake there by Millum. He could have just pinned his ears back and really put a bit more pressure. But good recovery, great recovery actually. Smart play by the old boys number 9, Sean Waite. Everyone was sort of looking and a bit indecisive about what was going to happen from the 22, and Waite didn't muck around. Took the quick tap and away laughing. Oh, big hit by Profit, and late and unnecessary and high. And that is not fancy play. Takes the old boys halfback out completely, and probably should be warned from the referee actually. I'm not sure why he felt he needed to do that. Waited past the ball, and then a very late charge, and he should know better than that. He's a professional player, so it might be a bit of frustration creeping in perhaps, or they know they've got old boys a wee bit under pressure behind the scrum, and they want to maintain that pressure.
Yeah, look, it was a really silly penalty. You talk about risk reward every time you're challenging in a game of rugby union. On that, there was no reward, no possession to be gained. The ball had already left. You're only ever going to get punished. Didn't need to happen, and they're going to give old boys another opportunity.
Yeah, the referee's calling it a late tackle. So, yeah, and the way this guy's kicking, he'll drive them into the just outside the 22. So old boys finally got some field position. It's been an interesting 10, 11 minutes for them so far. A wee bit further than that, 14 minutes into the game. Old boys been stuck in their own half. This is the first time they feed to an attacking line out. They've got forwards in, and yeah, they low, good take there from the big number 6. And Clifton are up for it at the moment, holding them nicely. So out to Pokai. He's driving them through. They're starting to go sideways a wee bit. Waite comes in, passes out to Daniel Waite. Good charging run by him. Good set actually. And just taking their time at the moment. Halfback calling them around to go around the far side. Good carry there from the Old Boys lock, boat shout, and offside play there. Good step through by Adam Smith. Fights hard now. This is more like it. Fights all the way, keeps going. Oh, and just was about to stretch out for the dive over the line. Wow, and I don't know whether it was Naholo or it was the fullback. And there's a bit of a push and shove. But yeah, great defensive play there. Smith had done all the hard work, cleaned up 22 metres, broke about 4 or 5 tackles, and referee calls him back for a penalty in front.
Yeah, look, there's worrying signs for Clifton. So far, they've had a lot of ball, haven't managed to do much with it. Old Boys have been given one opportunity with the line out 25 metres out and came that close to scoring a try. They are under penalty advantage from a offside play against the halfback at the ruck. But Old Boys probably a little bit unlucky not to be coming away with 7. They'll take the 3 here though.
Yeah, and good defence though from Clifton. They scrambled well. They got numbers back, and it was a good break by Smith. He's been strong runner all year. He's got good acceleration and not an easy guy to tackle. But yeah, they got the crowd alive though for the first time probably this half, and it is a big crowd here at Vogeltown Park.
Kick straight out in front for Northcott Hill. Wouldn't expect him to have too many problems with this one.
No, not at all. He's been in outstanding form. Top point scorer in club rugby in Taranaki this year by quite a wee way. Scored over 120 points so far. So, yeah, that was like marmalade on toast.
This kickoff will be interesting. Start of the game, Clifton went short, and Old Boys guilty of being a little bit timid. We'll see if Clifton go for a repeat of that play again.
Yeah, we like the look of the number 6. He's a rangy Daniel Guthrie. He's been useful in the line-out so far, and he's been good under the ball. So, yeah, it's a 10. It's a great kick, actually, right through. And once again, Guthrie up. And Old Boys misreading. Good lift there by Loft, but referee saying no knock on. Out to Paukai. Each puts his head down and charge. Good defensive tackle there, actually, by the Clifton number 7. No mucking around, puts him straight down. And once again, a high kick, kicking it out to Naholo's wing, taken by Matty James. Not much on there. Good defensive play from Old Boys. Came up quickly. No mucking around there. Naholo goes into halfback. Flicks it out to their props. And Clifton just reloading on the right-hand side. And Huda sees a small gap, jiggers his way through. Goes to ground and sets up nicely for the next ruck. Naholo stayed there. So I'm not sure why Naholo's hanging around the back of the ruck so much. He'd like to think with his speed and his experience, he'll be chasing kicks or standing a bit deeper. And good pressure on Matty James. He puts it down. Adam Smith safe under the high ball, sees a spot, kicks it directly. Probably kicked it into the Old Boys player, actually. And play on, says the referee. So Clifton just putting the head down and charging. Just one out play at the moment. Haven't really used any of their experienced midfield or wingers at all. So once again, Old Boys doing well, just staying tight on defence. Good line speed, good communication. Out to Rona. Rona puts a really deep kick in, and might be a wee bit lucky if he gets away with this because the bounce goes dead. And probably sick of mucking around on halfway, Daniel Rona. He just realised there was a bit of space back there and went looking for it.
Yeah, well, I think Clifton probably feeling like their attack's under a bit of pressure. They've lost a few balls early, and at the moment they're not getting a lot of go forward. These Old Boys two-man tackles are managing to hold them back on the advantage line. I think they've sort of just gone 2-3 phases before they look to exit and try something new. So really good defence from Old Boys, earning them the right to pressure kicks like that.
Yeah, for sure. And, yeah, you can see it with the enthusiasm the Old Boys players have. They get up off the ground, they get back into line quickly, and, you know, they know that defence is going to be a big part of their game today. But I am surprised with Clifton. They haven't moved it out to the centres at all. They don't have a lot of depth yet on their second phase, and there is big gaps behind the Old Boys back line out wide. Slater picks off the back, shrugs past one tackle, charges up to the 10-yard line. Probably had a bit of an opportunity to offload. Didn't take it to the halfback, but it's a real scrap in there over the ruck. And Clifton, you'd have to say, coming in a wee bit from the side. But the referee said no. weren't rolling clear, old boys, so it's given worth a scrap, Flynn, that's for sure, because they picked up the penalty that they needed.
Well, there's a very clear difference in intention at the rucks, with Clifton willing to just put lots of bodies in there. They're making life really hard for Sean Waite to get himself out of there. I do think after we had a player that surrendered, continued marching forward and took the halfback out, but we're back into play now with...
didn't find the touchline, Matty James, big mistake. And good take there by Smith. He flicked it into the old boys 10. He just knocks it straight down the middle of the paddock. And quite tactical at the moment with the kicking. Good nudge there by the Clifton fullback. Great nudge, actually. Takes play inside the old boys half on the 10-yard line. And considering that they weren't able to execute from the penalty, Clifton have done pretty well out of that. Old boys possession.
Yeah, I think that's probably the first time we'd say today that Clifton have been able to win the kicking duel.
Yeah, and a nice out. Daniel Waite sees a gap. There's a nice gap there, actually. The flankers was out wide, and there was a nice hole opened up. I noticed that Setu's just holding his chest, so he's obviously taken a severe knock. And great kick there from the old boys 10, Northcott Hill. And Clifton decide, hey, it's about time we had a run. And good direct run, all right. Great tackle there once again from the prop. So Toby Burkett, open field tackle. It was a fantastic tackle. Got the Clifton centre, Leota, onto the ground. And then the referee said that there was no early release, so the player couldn't play the ball.
Yeah, look, he's probably a little bit unlucky there. I'm not sure that the Clifton player actually got his knees to the ground. I felt that he'd been held up. But look, sometimes, you know, those 50-50s just don't go your way. Old boys will get another opportunity to attack this line out.
Yeah, it was interesting that Clifton were keen to run the ball from inside the 22. And I'll give Burkett his due, mate. That was a great open field tackle. You don't often see from a prop forward against the centre. So Clifton throw just right on halfway. Going down the back here, good tap by Williamson. He does well and tidied up by the old boys number 7. And good clean out there. Old boys working hard at the ruck, that's for sure. Out to Botcher. He always makes ground. I'm very impressed with him. Came over from Canada to play a bit of Kiwi rugby, and man, has he adapted well. So Clifton trying to have a go at the ball on the ground. Botcher again, nice little hole, step straight through. Great tackle from the hooker from Clifton, knocks him on the ground. Ball out to Slater. He's a bit of a standing target at the moment, needs to get himself on the ground. And knock backwards at the moment, old boys, but prepared to take a wee bit of time. Daniel Waite has a look, nothing really on, puts his head down, and just a bit of a recycle. Now they've got numbers here at the moment. Sean Waite steps through. Botcher was a wee bit flat on the play, but great run by Sean Waite. And Clifton are going to have to watch themselves here because they've got a big line out here on the left-hand side. But once again, they're just going to play the space, the territory game. Northcott Hill sees some space out to Huda, and he smacks it downfield, down to halfway. Brayton Northcott Hill picks it up, goes through. Good tackle there, and good clean out. They've got good numbers here, actually, old boys. They're in a really good position. And loose forward carry there. Big carry, actually, by young Rowan Slater. Out to Waite. He sees some space. Out to Pokai. He just charges through. And if they can bring it back quickly this way, old boys have got so many numbers. Waite goes up. He hasn't got a lot of support. So bit of a slow ball there. Out to Toby Burkett. He slips over just outside the 22. Waite decides to dance down the left-hand side. Out to... Great pass, actually, out to the flanker. He's waiting out on the right-hand side. That's Williamson. And good drive once again from Clifton. They're coming through the ruck. Not a lot of support. Old boys are going to have to get up the ground quickly and support their halfback. Pokai sees a bit of a gap. Been able to just about step out of a tackle. And just playing the pods at the moment, old boys. Finally get across the advantage line. Good clean out there. So out to Northcott Hill, out to the centre. Edge their way to the 22. Nothing on this way, so the players are going to go back the other way, out to the forwards. So it's just good controlled rugby at the moment. They're playing the phases, old boys. And nice pass out to Williamson, who stayed out on that left wing, and the referee called a accidental knock on. So quite a bit of rugby, Flynn. Not a lot of territory gained, but good control actually, considering the conditions.
Yeah, and again, I think we're seeing sort of polar opposite approaches from each team. Old Boys weren't making a lot of metres there, but were quite happy to just keep plodding along, keep playing their pods, and they're happy to wait for that opportunity to open up. Most of the opportunities that have opened up, they've kicked into and got the ball in behind the Clifton wingers, and they're quite happy to just lock Clifton down into their own 22, play some footy down here, and to take points low and slow. On the other side, Clifton with ball in hand have gone to their boot much earlier. Their kicks haven't been for territory, they've been much more attacking, and they're willing to put those 50-50s in, and they're trying to contest possession for themselves. So two very, very different approaches to weather rugby today.
Yeah, and still 3-0. Of course, there's only under 15 minutes to go in this first half, so had 25 minutes of running play. And it's certainly not going to be a high-scoring game. It's pretty tight. The players, as you indicated earlier in the game, Flynn, two quality teams, and it's a real contest at the moment. It's an arm wrestle up front for that possession, that's for sure.
Yeah, not many line breaks, not many missed tackles. You kind of get the feeling that if one team can get themselves to 8 or 10 points, you might be able to defend that for the whole second half.
Yeah, and that might be, they're just trying to squeeze the life out of the game a wee bit. I was probably expecting Clifton to try and play a more open game, particularly with the back line they've got available to them. But it all starts up front, as you know, and they've got to have quality possession. And unfortunately, good attacking scrum there from Old Boys. And you can tell they're under pressure because the ball just sat under the Old Boys' locks. And of course, what it meant is that the number 8 Slater had to go looking for it, and unfortunately knocked it on inside the scrum. So there's howls of refereeing assistance from the Clifton supporters on the far side, and the referee had another look at it and said, right, it is a knock on. So Clifton get to be interesting if they just hold it in and push for a penalty actually.
That's another great scrum.
That is a great scrum. Out to Rono, passes to no one, those. Miscommunication there, and Naholo's got to go back and do the tidy up. And good pressure there by the big lock, Old Boys lock. Setu came around the side and tried to do a clearing kick. So Clifton get another chance. And Old Boys probably need to put numbers in that ruck. Out to Matty James, and he does quite a high kick, but it's going to nowhere at the moment. They've got numbers down this left-hand side. All they have to do is run and pass. Oh, he didn't even look at the support player. That's unbelievable. Two guys unmarked outside him. They're still looking after the ball. They're 5 metres out. So Old Boys are going to roll up their sleeves to get to work. Good charge there by Morgan. A very, very solid player. Takes the ball directly up to their front row. And Mitch O'Neill swivels and picks up another couple of metres back to their outside, out to. Great pass. And you saw the class there of the second 5, Daniel Waite. He just delayed his pass and was able to pass out to Millam on the right wing and slid over for the try. So a good build-up there, good pressure from Old Boys on Clifton. Got a charge down from the scrum that they had, and then pressure on the Clifton captain. He wasn't able to find touch. I thought Miller made a big mistake by not just drawing and passing and running his guys in down that right-hand side, because there was absolutely no defence coming across from Clifton. But a good patient build-up from Old Boys, Flynn.
Yeah, and look, I think Old Boys are very much winning that kicking duel, which you'd expect with a backline that contains names like Northcott Hill, Waite, you've got Cody Ray out of the wing, Smith on fullback, but just as much as the backs are putting in some great kicks, the Old Boys forwards are putting in some fantastic kick pressure through Slater, Loft, and we saw it there, the charge down, put them under big pressure. The next kick, they were under even more pressure, couldn't exit properly, and it's very difficult playing in the wet when you're playing in your own 22.
Absolutely, and the crowd go quiet. And here he goes, Northcott Hill from the sideline. And it's a beautiful kick. He's been in fantastic form. So, well done.
Yeah, look, we don't want to call the game too early at all, but 8 points in these conditions is a very handy margin if they can take that into half time.
Yeah, and they've really only had one opportunity for points, Clifton, so they weren't able to score the penalty that they needed. So Old Boys pick up a converted try and a penalty and jump out to 10-0. Of course, 10 minutes to go, and the rain starts to fall. So this time, Matty James takes it a wee bit easier on his forwards, goes for a longer kick. Daniel Waite brings it up. Good, solid contact there by the Clifton 7 on the number 8, Slater. Makes his way to the 22, out to Pauakai. Probably a high tackle there. And a wee bit unfair because Pauakai was actually falling to the ground, but high's high, and Old Boys pick up a penalty.
Geez, he's run well today, that hooker.
Yeah, he's a great runner with the ball, yeah, and just extended his stride nicely, just pre-tackle.
A lot of carries, he's made the advantage line every time, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down at all.
Yep, fantastic play there, and a good kick, touch kick from Northcote Hill, so takes play up to halfway. And I just noticed, be interesting with Clifton, they're just picking up a couple of little injuries at the moment. I noticed the physio running out and talking to Daniel Rona and giving him some treatment. So I'd say the force of the tackles is having a bit of an impact at the moment on some of the players.
It was a complicated line-out move from Old Boys, but they've got the ball back to Sean Waite cleanly.
Yeah, and he was put under good pressure from Jared Prophet, who came through pretty quickly. Out to Pauakai from Hookie's quite a high carry. He'll be held up, able to get to ground, does a good job looking after the ball. And Botcher picks up a couple of extra metres out the back to Northcote Hill. He puts in a high kick down to the fullback. Huda comes under it. Good take, very good take. Good time jump. Not given a lot of support, but Setu just taking his time at the moment. The ball's well looked after. Not sure there's much on there. There's about 10 Old Boys players and maybe 5 Clifton, but the 7 does well to shrug off the tackle. And they've got numbers down the left-hand side here. Once again, it's a high kick. So we're just trying to force mistakes at the moment. Well taken by Millam. He jumps up, great timing. Taken by Rona, he's on the ground, so got to be released. And then Old Boys out to the right-hand side. The number 13, he struggles, and Josh Thompson, and finally gets to ground. So big hit there by Prophet. There's absolute force in those tackles at the moment. And they had numbers out wide actually, but Botcher once again dropped his shoulder, set up. And once again, just a high kick. Old Boys getting under it. Good take there by Matty James.
Great
Stays
take
on his feet and presents the ball nicely. So no halfback at the moment. I'm not sure whether halfback might be down maybe, or tied up in the tackle. He was tied up in the tackle. Out to Rona. And yeah, lovely kick from the fullback, drives him back, and might be just a wee bit unlucky. Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 metres, too much distance in the kick.
Yeah, look, the first time, the first Rona kick that went dead, he definitely had put too much into it. That one is quite unlucky. And again, Clifton just struggling to find that exit. They can't seem to get themselves the clean kick out of their own territory. And it's just pegged them down into their half for long periods now. Yeah,
the kicking is extremely technical. They're trying to force errors. It's good pressure on it. And yeah, there's, it was like watching replay after replay those last 3 phases, because the same guys are doing exactly the same type of kicks. But I think if Clifton, they've just got to inject something into the game, and I think it's going to have to be players like Naholo who come in off the wing and look to take some work off the forwards and share the workload by a couple of carries. Once again, big scrum by Clifton, lost forward by Old Boys. Good run there by the number 7. He offloads to number 8. He bounces off the defender, passes it inside to Hanley Setu. He sets it up nicely. He's got numbers out if they've got to be quick hands though. And Cody Ray shows his experience, gets in between the passing lane of the 2 attacking players, but unfortunately knocks it on. So that could have been the little grub kick through actually to try and get Naholo in the game. He just hasn't been in the game, has he?
Yeah, look, for me, Clifton, they're not they haven't been able to build any pressure. I think they need to go back to the really simple stuff. Set a bit of a platform to give their back line something to attack off. And if that means going all the way back down to your pick and goes, just bang, 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 they need to go 2 or 3 phases before they can use these guys, because they haven't been able to get them into the game at all. And if they hit them off phase 1, the old boys' defence is too good.
Yeah, good observations, Flynn. Of course, it's not easy. You know, you're standing in a nice warm commentary box at the moment. It's a lot easier than playing out there because there is some serious pressure on. But this time, first time Clifton's gone wide, double pass out to the wing. He puts his head down, charges up, no footwork whatsoever. He doesn't need to, just relies on his strength. Just about a turnover play. Naholo picks up, steps in, drives hard with the legs, throws it back in. And good defence there from Old Boys, actually. The backs are doing really well. Forwards waiting in the midfield. Good, the 7. Love his play, man. Direct, no mucking around. Bounces off players. Picks up some ground. That's tough meters. Out to the captain into the midfield. And good run there by the big prop. And out to the 13. Once again, Old Boys have got numbers.
They're isolated out there.
Yeah, they are isolated out there. Do well turning the ball. Naholo goes in, picks and goes himself. But he hasn't got a lot of support. But they're pretty thin on the ground at the moment. Bit of a pop pass there. And good clean out there from Clifton out to the midfield. Clifton look a lot invigorated now. Good play there by Old Boys. Slow the ball down. They've got numbers out on the left-hand side here. Out to Rona. He does a dummy. Takes the tackle, well tied up by Wade. Actually, it's a really key matchup, that one today, between those two players. And back inside, Clifton forwards pull up their sleeves. They know they're going to have to do a bit of carry work. Halfback looks out to Rona. Rona does a little stab kick through, nothing on. Well picked up by Daniel Waite. He presents the ball nicely. His brother Sean finally gets to the ruck. Out to JJ Pokai. Great footwork. And picks up a weak shoulder, picks up 2 metres. That was a key play, that one. Out to Rowan Slater. He does the same thing. Releases and picks up again. Good smart play there by Slater. Once again, no mucking around on the tackle though. Clifton doing really well. And Waite knows he's got lower numbers on the guys who can carry. So he puts pressure up and kick through and 2 knock-ons. So there's some players sucking it in. Flynn, there's been some big defensive work from both sides.
Yeah, look, I think for me, Clifton play with what looks like a 1-3-3-1 attacking structure, meaning they put 2 of their forwards out on the wings and have 2 3-man pods in the middle. I think it's a little bit predictable right now. I think they've got to do something. They've got to get away from that, whether it's with those pick and goes, whether they start folding guys around the corner, because right now the Old Boys defenders can just make a tackle, look up, take a couple steps back, and then make a tackle. They're not asking too many questions. They're not asking defenders to move around, and that's not creating any space for them at the moment.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was only that last, 3 or 4 minutes. Clifton have fired a couple of shots, actually. They're able to extend Old Boys down this left-hand side. If Rona's kick had gone through and not charged down by Waite, that would have been interesting. But they've got space here. Once again, no mucking around, just puts it down. And I'll give the Old Boys first 5, Northcott Hill, his dues. He clearly understands the importance of field position, because he's doing his utmost to make sure his team is in the best possible position.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's been a really, really strong performance from him. He's, lucky in a few ways to have a halfback like Sean Waite around and a couple of very senior playmakers in their own right, and Cody Ray and Daniel Waite helping him out. But Brayton Northcott Hill has played his hand perfectly so far this half.
Done deal. Bit of a wraparound play there by the hooker, the number 8, who took it from the line out when looking for him. Bit slow to execute, but he's there at the moment. And they've got runners. Good turnover tackle there by the Clifton first 5. And Clifton inside the 22. The number 7 picks and goes. Unfortunately loses it in the tackle. So bit of bad luck there, actually. I like the guy. What do you think, Flynn? He's having a real go, isn't he?
Yeah, I think, some of his runs have been fantastic, but there are too many times where Clifton players are grabbing the ball at the back of the ruck. They don't have a halfback. They don't have a forward pod set up, and I think we saw it with Kinina twice a few phases ago, where he just had to run it himself. That's definitely not what your coach wants you to be doing, and you're running without support. And every time you do it, even if you're showing a little bit of a threat, it's very hard to get that ball back if no one's coming with you. And we've just seen that knock on, and it's back to old boys on the attack.
Yeah, it's you did right there, and of course, you know, the speed of the game or the support play means that there's always someone over the ball, and you can't afford to go it alone. So once again, Slater, he's got to get that pass away early, just slowing things down a wee bit from the back of the scrum. Good chase there by Millam, and takes it up strongly. A great angled run by Morgan. Comes in strongly on the 15, the well inside the 22. Daniel Waite just charges through off his brother. Pop pass off his shoulder. Fantastic play, and Slater once again does some hard yards in there. And Old Boys they're right on the goal line at the moment. They've got good shape here. They've got good numbers out left.
Big overlap for Old Boys if they can find the pass.
Yep, really have. And no mucking around there. Great try. Fantastic try. And all the Old Boys guys running to congratulate Brayton Northcott Hill, because it was a well-taken try, but off the back of some smart play. Probably got a wee bit lucky, Old Boys. The kick through from Brayton Northcott Hill to the sideline, it just bounced off one of the Clifton players that gave them possession. It was a good long throw. They do that well, Old Boys. They attack well off that 15, and they bring numbers back in, jamming hard to hold up the defence. And they go into half-time, and to score like that right on half-time, fantastic effort.
Yeah, one thing I've been very impressed by in these conditions, I'm not sure how much the rain actually shows up on the camera, but Old Boys, they haven't been going for long periods. They've been going short and sharp, and when they go quickly. It's very difficult to play fast, high-tempo footy in these conditions, and they have executed really well just like there.
Yeah, good observation, actually. Flynn, yeah, Old Boys, very, very tactical, take their time, very methodical. They build their attack game off their defence, and you've got to give them the dues, man. Their defence have been outstanding today. Clifton's only fired a couple of shots though, and they'll have the advantage in the second half of some driving rain behind them. So I think if they can get a wee bit of territory through their kicking game, could be a very interesting second half.
Yeah, and look, where I think it gets harder. Look, 17-0 is definitely a very handy lead to take into half-time in a game like this. But Clifton teams with the X factor that they have on attack, with the offload ability that they've got, they really just need one little half line break, and they can, even in these conditions, can still score tries from 80 metres out.
Exactly, and we'll just break into our halftime commentary here. We've had the pleasure to find a visiting French rugby player. So we've got young Dimitri Vittel, who's visiting New Plymouth, all the way from France. Dimitri, welcome to Vogeltown Park. What do you think of the quality of the rugby?
Today it's not very nice, but because of the rain, it's way better than the French one.
It is, yes. Obviously, you'll have these conditions in France. So, Dimitri, you're here at Boys High, I believe, and you've come across to pick up a wee bit of culture and a wee bit of English language, but more importantly, to learn a bit more about the game of rugby. So, are you learning a wee bit about the New Zealand style of rugby?
Yeah, a lot, because there is a lot of training and all the game. We can see more rugby. Just this game is very easy to come and see, and there is all the culture of the New Zealand is go for the rugby, so it's pretty nice to discover everything.
Right, so what you're saying is a young guy out there in the world thinking about playing rugby, it's not a bad place to come to.
It's one of the best places to come to.
Well done. Dimitri, what's your thoughts on New Zealand rugby though? Obviously the French style is somewhat different, and there's a lot of talk at the moment, obviously with the World Cup being in France, about what style of play that teams will play. So what's your impressions of the New Zealand style?
For me, there is a good culture of a big forward, big hits always and big scrum. But then the backward start to be playing very, very well, good hand, and a big forward, and then clear ball for the backward, and you can
Right.
play right.
Okay. So that European style will be interesting because New Zealand got a bit of a wake-up call last season with Ireland coming, and what everyone was impressed with was the carry and the skill level, particularly the passing, the interpassing between forwards and backs,
Yep.
and almost like a rush play. Don't often see that in New Zealand. As you say, a lot of emphasis on the set play and really just leaving it up to the backs to run with the ball. So is that something you've noticed here?
Yeah, on some game, yes, like big rush, and then the forward just a little pass, and the backward at all the space and just run, and but the space is created by the forward, and so there is a big communication between the two, and
Awesome.
very
Okay,
nice.
and you're here playing secondary school rugby, Dimitri, the standard here in New Zealand. Obviously somewhat better than you'll have in the south of France.
Yeah, way better. Like it's more almost like professional. You have all the recovery stuff and the jam stuff that now in France you don't have a lot, except if you are playing for the best team. But it's just for some team here. It's normal. So
Yeah, awesome. Okay, fantastic. Oh, and we welcome you with open arms, Dimitri. You've been fantastic value for New Plymouth Boys High, and you enjoyed your rugby. And great to see you're down here and committing. And I can't let you go, Dimitri, without a prediction for the World Cup. What are your thoughts?
I thought that uh, I think the French team will go to the final for sure, and then I'm not sure, but I think they will win because they are pretty good, and this year it's very open. There is no big team like New Zealand for the moment. They are good, but they are not at their best. So there is something to do.
Right, okay, and I just think you've done really well, mate, on behalf of the French Rugby Union in creating a wee bit more uncertainty for us here in New Zealand about what the results are going to be for the World Cup. So obviously tomorrow morning the All Blacks against Argentina, so great to see the international season underway. So thanks very much, Dimitri, and best wishes for the rest of your stay here.
Yep.
And you enjoy it. Fantastic.
Yep. Thanks.
So we're back on to Vogeltown Park. Old Boys get the kickoff, and great kick actually, taken well by, just about taken well by Guthrie, and he's annoyed with himself, he knows. So Old Boys, exact replica of the first half kickoff, where the team kicking gets possession inside the half. Great tack, fantastic run there by Botcher. It's a pity he didn't offload to Adam Smith. He could have been under the post then. So Old Boys just building nicely at the moment. Clifton probably not putting as many players in. Out the flick door, good kick through, picked up by Matty Jones, and he just thumps it downfield. Great kick all the way down to halfway. And good start to the second half, Flynn, that's for sure.
Yeah, look, a nice early stint in possession, but probably not a kick that needed to come. I think Old Boys could have continued to build a little bit of pressure there, and I think that kick was well covered. Clifton have managed to get themselves out of some pressure, but the Old Boys line-out feed now is more coming at them. Good throw to the back.
Yeah, that run-around play from the hooker, well executed actually. Oh, just a little tip play was on there, that's for sure. Out to the centre. He hasn't seen much ball today, but once again strong in the carry. Clifton not committing any numbers at the moment, so maybe that's a tactical change. They picked up in half time because they were into everything in that first half, making it very difficult for the second phase. So Old Boys got more time out to Wade, out to Josh Thompson, the winger. He puts it on to Ray. He does a goose step. Great to see a Kempisi goose step back in the game of rugby. That's exciting. And small knock on. The referee saying no, it went backwards. So no disadvantage. Old Boys building nicely at the moment. Out to their big prop. He crawls along the ground. Yeah, Clifton are just definitely trying to cover numbers at the moment. That would not have happened, that play in the first half. No way the ball would have sat there for a couple of minutes.
No. Look, one thing that's probably not too clear on the camera is there's actually quite a big mud patch in the middle of the 22, right out in front of the post, which is making life really hard for those Clifton defenders coming up off the line. We didn't see much of it in the first half because not too much footy was played down this end. But any time the Old Boys are running at you, you have to change directions. You'll just be sliding about in that.
Yeah, good point actually, Flynn, and exactly where the play's been for probably the last 2 minutes. So they've defended well, Clifton. They look well organised, and we just check for numbers, any changes at half time. There's nobody at the moment. They've got a lock walking up on the sideline, so they expect a change in a couple of minutes. So first attacking scrum for the second half, Old Boys, and of course Clifton put the heat on in that first half. And
Old Boys with quite a flat back line.
yeah, and just once again not tidy play from the scrum. Unfortunately, probably went for it too early. Slater, someone might have to remind him that he actually used his foot to drag the ball back, because at the moment he's putting his hands in trying to pick it up, and of course Clifton have got this nice little timed second shove and kind of pushing the Old Boys locks back onto their number 8.
Yeah, well, it was one of the areas in the first half where Clifton were able to consistently beat Old Boys, and we've seen first scrum of the second half, not too much has changed there. Off their own attacking feed, we'll see if they can launch anything, but James is in the pocket, so they might elect to just kick straight away.
Yeah, and good pressure there from Old Boys. Fantastic scrummaging. There's absolutely unbelievable pressure going on that front row. So I commend both front rows actually. They're handling themselves really well. Good clearance kick. Referee stops play for a second, and what we're going to see is a first substitution. And a guy who's played really well, Toby Burkett, he gets a warm round of applause and deserves it from his teammates. And he's replaced by Perry Lawrence, number 17. So he's had a good season so far, Perry Lawrence. He's really developed his rugby this year. And out wide, through the hands, out to Clifton, does a little spot pass, nothing on there. Great skills from Daniel Waite. Just scooped that ball up from the mud, full bore, running fast. So fantastic skills there. But the referee comes back and says, hey, the throw wasn't straight.
Geez, Daniel Waite had a fantastic first half. We know him, he's got a clever passing game, he's got a quite a cheeky little kick in there. What Old Boys have needed from him today is just a big Ma'anonu running second 5, and he has been crashing well over the advantage line every time, and he's been a big part of what's creating space for his kickers out the back. And it's got taken back for the knock-on advantage, but it's good to see him continuing that into the second half.
Yeah, and that was evident in that last try just half time. Waite just threw himself at the defensive line and just took it backwards, and was very impressive. And of course he's marked by Daniel Ronan. He's had a great season with the Chiefs.
Great scrum from Old Boys there.
Yeah.
Put a lot of pressure on them.
So out to Ronan now. Looks for a little pop pass, nothing on. Chopped to the ground by Northcott Hill. Good tackle actually. Made 5 or 6 metres though. And just stretches out. Setu. Pass out to the number 7. He does a pop pass to the big number 17. Might have lost the ball in the tackle. Good play there. And once again, the referee just stopping play because Old Boys weren't clearing themselves on the ruck. Out to their big number 6, and the referee picks up an offside. So under penalty advantage, Clifton. Be interesting to see what they do.
I really like Clifton tapping there, actually speeding up the game. They're not willing to play the slow footy that Old Boys want to. They want to start to open things up, create some holes for themselves, and I think that's a smart second half decision.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the kick was a kick pass for Kenny Naholo, and he had his, I'm pretty sure it's his left ankle well strapped, and then he went to go for the ball and just completely lost his balance. So hopefully he hasn't damaged his other ankle, because he's on the ground and he's definitely in a wee bit of pain. No, it's still that, yeah, it's the opposite ankle. He had his right one strapped, and he's got a problem with his left ankle. So the referee takes the play all the way back over to the left-hand side, and the captain, Clifton captain, Matty James, he'll be keen to pick up as much territory as he can, really try and knock it in deep into that corner, and takes play down to the 22. So it could be a bit of an issue here with the coverage at the moment. And We're just seeing a wee bit of wet weather effect, I think, on the internet connection. So if you're dialed in via Facebook or through the YouTube channel, just stay with us and we'll see if we can connect you back up. So good take there from Clifton in the lineup. Very slow, deliberate build-up at the moment. It's quite high, but they've got control of the ball. Old Boys trying to come through and smother. And well picked up by Henley Seto. Good driving tackle there from Daniel Waite. Jump out to the left-hand side. Once again, great tackle from Old Boys. They're certainly defending well. Not much on for Clifton, just one off play at the moment. Trying to get themselves a wee bit more organised. And their forwards looking for a bit of a pod out the side. Got some numbers out wide here, Clifton, if they can shift the ball, but don't look like they intend to at the moment. It's just head down and grinding at the moment.
Old Boys are actually starting to put a little bit of heat on some of the rucks. Maybe not jackling, but very happy to drive through and pull some Clifton numbers out. And that is a fantastic tackle from Sean Waite.
That's an unreal tackle. There's Daniel Rona coming on an angled run. Nothing on there. Out to Huda. He skips out. Oh, lovely play. Feeds back into Naholo. He takes the ball up, releases, and feeds nicely. They've got good numbers across. If they can get it, the ball back to the middle. Out to the big Clifton number 8. He charges up. And they're just going to be so quick. Old Boys are over the ball so quickly. Good tackle there from Michael Loft. Cries of good tackle, Lofty, from the sideline, because it was. And Clifton still just hammering down. Good clean out there. Nothing on around the ruck. So they're going to punch it out of to the middle of the paddock, out to Profit. He gets thrown on his back.
This is Clifton's best phase of attack so far this game. They're controlling the ball really well. Old Boys are defending well, but they're being asked some big questions now.
Yeah, 200%, but nobody's coming down this right-hand side. I mean, Naholo just wandered in, to the ruck. No urgency to get in for the clean-out. And they had numbers, they had space out wide. Here he goes, picks and goes. It's one of his better plays, actually. So out the back door, good charge out to Rona. He gets held up by Williamson. Good defensive play once again. Referee calls it went backwards, so it's play on. Good positioning there from the number 7. Man, he's had a busy game. He's been absolutely everywhere. Sets up nicely, so they're about 10 metres out from the goal line at the moment, Clifton. Good set and pop-up pass there to the hooker. He does a bit of a stutter step, makes some yardage, clean out, comes aggressively over the top, nothing on there. Profit puts his head down, charge. Good defensive there by the new prop, Perry Lawrence. And Clifton are going really well at the moment, probably up to about 14, maybe 15 phases. And they're just sort of aggregated around the ball at the moment. There's space on both, out wide on both sides, but they're not worried about that at the moment. They're just going to grind their way to the try line. Good continuity and fantastic looking after the ball. Naholo has a bit of a dive. Forwards get around him. It'll be another pick and go down that left-hand side. And good clean out actually from Clifton. The forwards are really getting into their work. They're right on the goal line at the moment. Old Boys will be desperate to keep them out. So dummy there from the Clifton, might have been the number 12 actually. And then finally a pick and go. And good play. It's either going to be the halfback, the lively halfback, and it looks like actually it might be either their number 7 who scored the try, and that would be, if he has, that would be just reward because he's had an unbelievable game.
Yeah, look, it was really patient play from Clifton once they got themselves within 6 or 7 metres of the line to just pick and go. They continued to back themselves and they came away with the reward. Didn't try to do anything flash, didn't try anything too crazy. They had backs involved. But also in the lead up to that, before they got into their pick and go phases when they're still running one out, they were running into space and Old Boys weren't able to come up too quickly off the line. Instead of making 2-on-1 tackles, they were going 1-on-1. And when you've got the big athletic back line and forward pack that Clifton does, if you can just make sure you're running at 1-on-1 tackles every time, you're giving yourself a chance. Admirable defence from Old Boys. I thought they came up with a few really good shots. But when a team comes at you with intent like that, it's very difficult to hold back. And Clifton have opened the door for themselves now.
Oh, have they what? That was a fantastic kick from their captain, Matty James. And takes it out to 17-7, so it's a 10-point game. And that will give the Clifton side a lot of confidence because they've thrown a lot of shots at Old Boys and haven't had any real reward. So they're doing fantastically well. So a restart here from Old Boys. 10 minutes into the second half. And good high kick once again. Chased up by Daniel Waite. He goes in hard. And unfortunately, number 6, he didn't turn enough. So he caught the ball sort of facing sideways in Old Boys, and Waite's down to a bit of a limp, but man, he put some heat on that kick, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, they've complicated it for themselves. It's not just the drop ball that they've conceded, but now the penalty as well. We'll see, and it looks like Old Boys are going to try and turn this 10-point lead into a 13.1. They just want to keep chipping away on that scoreboard.
Yeah, points are going to be critical, and so's field position, obviously. So Taranaki's highest scoring player, Braden Northcott Hill, he picks up the ball and doesn't muck around. He says, asked for the tee and said, we'll try and get a bit more edge. So a couple of changes for Old Boys. It looks like there's a Slater come off and a Slater go on. And that, of course, is Rowan Slater coming off at number 8. And Bradley Slater come back down from Hamilton. So he'll be keen to get back into a bit of rugby here in Taranaki. And he may be going on to the side of the scrum. A nice kick from Northcott Hill. Flags go up. So he picks up another 3. And New Plymouth Old Boys jump to 20-7. Probably the last thing that Clifton wanted. They've done really well getting back into the game, and back into the game in a meaningful way, because it was hard, aggressive play, and they've gave up a soft penalty, so they've got a wee bit more work to do, because if they want to get through to the club final, then they're going to have to find 2 more tries.
Yeah, no, look, it just makes it hard on yourselves, and you talk about coaches, those first few phases after scoring points, that's the opposite of what you want.
Yeah, good intelligent play there from Morgan. It was a good high kick, and Old Boys went up to get it. It came back off a Clifton hands. He was just positioned nicely in front of the ruck, and he picked up the ball and good run down that blind side. So, yeah, Old Boys looking keen at the moment.
There's
definitely
some
here to play
serious
rugby.
intent from the Old Boys runners right now.
Yeah, good release out the back. Good pop pass out down on Smith. No mucking around. Out to the loose forward, out to Ray. He just about round the outside. Puts the ball down. The Holo's back there defending.
Good turnover in the Holo, but he hasn't released that.
No, he hasn't, but he wasn't really held by anyone, so probably could have got up. But good play by Clifton. They had that covered pretty well. So good to see the big number 6 for Old Boys. Williamson, he's done well actually. He just positioned himself out on the flanks and picked up quite a bit of territory. So quick throw in to Millam. He just runs straight at the opposition, thrown to the ground, 8 or 9 minutes meters inside the Clifton half, and Boccia just takes his time, pulls a whole lot of defenders towards him. So good play out the back, and if there's a tip play here, he just tries to. He probably should have just ripped the ball from him. But Mitch O'Neill couldn't do the release to Daniel Waite, and of course he had 3 guys outside him. Millam takes his eye off the ball, and the referee blows the whistle. And man, that was just like revved up play. That was rugby on steroids there for about 3 minutes.
Well, I'm not sure what the message has been from the coaches at Old Boys, but it looks like they've flipped a switch and decided to kick into another gear. A lot of ball movement, a lot of running lines crossing over, and I think it's after scoring that try, it's probably the last thing that Clifton were expecting to come straight back at them. Got caught out a little bit there. Mitch O'Neill probably caught in 2 minds, whether to pass, whether to not, and then they dropped the ball in the next phase as well. But yeah, there's Old Boys have really brought it up another level.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big finish to the game, and Clifton are certainly, they haven't come all the way into Vogeltown Park just to roll over, and they're playing a great game of footy. It's been brutal at the within the tackle in the second phase. 3 players hit Boccia down this left-hand side, and to his credit, he just took the hit, sort of absorbed the impact, and then glided his way to the ground, set up the ruck nicely, and of course 3 Clifton guys are off the ground. They're on the ground rather, off their feet, and that just opened up a wee bit of a hole in the midfield. And I think if that tip play had happened from the Old Boys prop, Mitch O'Neill out to wait, then we could have seen maybe a try down that right hand side.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, it's fun to watch as a fan. A team at this stage of the game, 13 points up. This is where some sides would start to look to just protect that buffer. Old Boys have decided that they want some more points, actually. They're going to keep that foot on the throat and keep coming at them. 26 minutes to play. Yeah. We'll see if both teams are able to hold the game at this tempo for the rest of the match.
Yeah, they certainly are. So still a lot at stake, and hopefully you're getting the video coverage through again now properly. So good play by Clifton actually, wrap around play, kicks out in the hole low, just a wee bit wide for him. And Adam Smith once again just keeping the pressure on the Clifton players by picking it up and looking for a quick throw. Good little back move there by Clifton. They just a couple of dummy runs from the midfield, just wrap around play by their first 5. And I think if that kick had been a wee bit shorter, it would have been interesting because Naholo certainly had speed on. Yeah,
well, I think, look, shorter or longer, they did a really good job to create space for their first 5. But there was actually a lot of space in behind the winger if he decided to plug it into the Old Boys 22. It sort of just went into a bit of a no man's land.
Yep. And great take there by Michael Loft. Not a great throw. And Northcote Hill drives Naholo back inside his 22. He nudges it down. Good kick, actually. Finds touch. Quick throw out back to Adam Smith. Clifton guys are up quickly. But great kick to that far side by Adam Smith. Well kept in by the Clifton fullback. Scoops it into the wing. And he has a bit of a hack. Is he going to find touch? Yes, he is. So good gain there from Old Boys. It was a great kick from Naholo just inside his 22. Picked up probably 35, 40 metres. And then Northcote Hill was smart enough to know that, hey, we've got to get out of here quickly. No point in coming into an arm wrestle inside our own half. So seems to be this attitude that we're going to play the game in their half.
Yeah, and I think especially with a bit of mud on the field, bit of rain, you're best to just play. If you can be in the opposition 22, wait for them to make a mistake and then capitalise, especially with the Clifton set piece. That's absolutely where they want to be.
Yep, ball goes over the top. Not a great throw. Well picked up by Northcote Hill. Fantastic.
Attacked that ball.
Did he what? Out to Morgan. Good charging run by him. Good set up actually. And waits on the ground. Passes up to Bosch here. He just waits for the defenders to come to him. He's really, really strong guy and just can set up a beautiful second phase. And Northcote Hill for the second time in the play. Wow.
That's a 50-22.
Exactly. And, he saved Old Boys from what was a pretty poor throw at the line out, dived at the ball, was able to recover it, and then comes up with a fantastic play. So you have to say he's been involved in a lot, that's for sure.
Unlucky not to get the line out feed for a 50-22 here, but...
maybe they're just outside the 22 flat. No, they look within it actually. Unless it touched someone on the way through. Pass inside. Oh, great ball out to the Clifton winger. He's straight up the guts. And looks to do a pop pass that was loose forward. Probably should have. They got numbers out here, Clifton. They shovel the ball out to the centre, out to Hooter. He tries, cut back into Naholo. He tries to start from a standing start. Good play, takes him up to halfway. Not a great pass from the Clifton halfback. And Old Boys come up quick. Look at Wait, just absolutely flies out of the line and pins the guy back on the, picks up 8 or 9 metres for the defence. Out to Rona, he flicks a nice ball up to the far wing. So a good running play so far from Clifton. And unfortunately, once again, whether it's a wet ball, but the Clifton halfback
turnover opportunity, and he gets it.
He does get it. Great play there, out wide, and a fantastic pass out to Northcote Hill.
A lot of space.
Runs in, wait, and there's no way he's not going to score. Out unselfishly gives it up to the flying winger. So great play there from Old Boys. They went side to side really, really quickly. So Cody Ray in on that left-hand side, and that was a fantastic try. Great skills, good timing, and the backs understood that they had to pass quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it came through on the screen or not, but look, Sean Waite with a little grubber. Big chase from Old Boys, put them under a lot of pressure, managed to get the ball back, and then just the attitude. As soon as we're post-line break, they've got retreating defenders. We're not going to do fancy things. We're not going to be selfish and attack in towards the ruck. They just went straight through the hands, got the ball all the way to the wing, used their three-man overlap and scored a really tidy try. So just, it's nothing flash, but it's just intent and professionalism.
Yeah, absolutely. So jump to 25-7, and although he's from the sideline, if you're a betting man, you'd have to say Northcott Hill's been good enough to convert this.
This will be his toughest kick of the day in rough conditions, but no, you definitely wouldn't count him out from anywhere on the field with the way he's going.
Lovely nudge, and you'd have to say that was straight down the middle.
That was a fantastic kick. He really looks in control with his boot today, Northcott Hill.
Yeah, well, the score jumps to 27-7, so Old Boys, a bit of a sigh of relief there, but they did create that. You've got to give them credit. Daniel Waite, two massive plays. One is he jumped down on the line, absolutely hammered the old Clifton defender, picked up 6 or 7 metres, were able to put more pressure on Clifton. They lost the ball, kicked through, great work there on the recovery, turnover play, and then Waite, to his credit, a lovely pass out to Cody Ray for the try in the corner. So good reverse play there from Clifton. They came out to the right-hand side, and number 15 tried to take the ball in there, lost it forward.
Yeah, look, and I think the context of the game's probably changed a little bit going into the final 20 minutes. Clifton needs more than 20 points to win. Now is when they probably have to start trying a few things and starting to look for some high-risk plays, unfortunately, which is never a comfortable place for a team to be. And I think we saw the first punch getting thrown with that little switch-up kickoff.
Yeah, well, and good on them for trying something a wee bit different. So Old Boys defeat the scrum, 10 metres inside their own half. A couple of changes to Old Boys. Slater definitely on the flank, so a hooker on the flank, which is a good move. Good double round play there out to Smith.
Great ball movement.
Millam, behind him, so slowed Millam down. Good defence from Clifton. They come across quickly and shut it down on halfway. So charging run there by Bradley Slater. Picks up 4 or 5 metres, does well actually. So good play out here to Morgan, and he slides his way up the paddock, picks up a couple more by sort of crawling along the ground, and Waite was waiting for a pass, and Clifton did really, really well defending that, and Millam puts in a great kick from the ruck. There was absolutely nothing on, so he picked up the ball, had a look, saw that the Clifton winger was up and the fullback was midfield, so did really well, knocked it into that corner and takes play within sort of 5 metres of the goal line.
Look, really excellent kick. It just keeps putting Clifton under even more pressure, which is the last thing they want. Old Boys just starting to roll the subs now, with Brodie Lilly coming on at halfback for Sean Waite, who is another player who's had a really strong game today in tough conditions for a halfback.
Yeah, he really has, and giving 100%. So tapped down, it was a Clifton throw. So Old Boys got a player up, and great driving play. And all the players rush in because they know that's a forward try, 200%. Congratulating, it might be Perry Lawrence has come up with the ball. So well done. Kept low, drove hard with his legs. Clifton just stayed a wee bit wider than they have been, and Perry was able to slither his way through and drive his way over the line. So that really makes the game safe for Old Boys now. Takes it up to 32-7.
Yeah, look, rugby is just a game of giving yourselves opportunities, and they gave themselves the opportunity by contesting their line out. But what was impressive is how quickly they snapped on to realising this is our ball, we've got a chance to attack. one pick and go and they're over the try line, but for me it comes back to the kick from Millum, which put them, he managed to find 45 metres with a boot, put them all the way down there. And Old Boys just good enough to take the opportunities that are on board. 32-7, that is a big gap with 17 points remaining, and you've got to think the Old Boys coaches are just starting to get a little bit comfortable now, maybe just starting to think about next Saturday.
Yeah, once again from the sideline. Why not kick it from there?
Why not?
Why take the easy kicks when you do the hard ones? Fantastic, and a big change and a big warm round of applause, and it's thoroughly deserved as Daniel Waite got the big hugs from his coaching staff, but tremendous contributor over a number of years. Pretty sure it will be Daniel's last game at Vogeltown Park. He's obviously contracted to go to Japan and just put everything out there today, so was able to initiate a lot of the defensive plays that have kept Old Boys completely within the game. And from everyone within the rugby community here in Taranaki, we just want to say thank you, Daniel, for your contribution to club rugby. So big Perry Lawrence charges up. We didn't really know what was going on there. He looked around and thought, hang on, am I unmarked? So Old Boys just throwing everything at them at the moment. Good kick there by Matty James, and he's under a bit of pressure. And Old Boys, great reward for that initiative. They pick up their line out, their thrower course, inside the Clifton 22.
Old Boys have just kicked Clifton out of the game. There have been a lot of small things that have happened in between them, but again, the kick comes from Northcote Hill, who just can't put a foot wrong today. Locks Clifton back up in their end, and Old Boys get the line out feed.
Yeah, good jump there by Botcher around the front play. Good run there from the open side. Sets up things nicely. So just organising their play. Driving run there by the captain, Morgan Jackson. And out to Botcher. I think he's an excellent player, this guy. Plays tough every game. And looks like it could be Bradley Slater trying to slide his way over. Yeah, he whipped around the side of that ruck, and Ford's trying to get another try under their belt. They've certainly put the pressure on Clifton at the moment, and done well. So referee just calling up for a sub player. So we've got the Old Boys number 19, Finn Hahn, and looks like he's going on, or he thinks he's going on for Jackson Morgan. He reluctantly comes to the sideline. And he's had a strong game, actually. Some big carries and big defence.
Some very big carries and a couple of awesome tackles. More than a couple of awesome tackles. James there in the pocket, looks set to exit. The last exit came off the boot of Kanenaholo, actually. We'll see how Clifton get themselves out of this.
Yeah, well, their scrum's been their real strength, that's for sure, Clifton. So, but Old Boys have pretty much got a second lease of life, really. I think that driving try on the far side after the line out where they were able to force their way over through the Clifton pack has given them a lot of confidence.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure if it's substitutions or just running out of gas, but the dominance at scrum time for Clifton has really eroded away in the second half. It's been a much more even competition. And that scrum, I would say that's advantage Old Boys. Well done.
Yeah, there was evidence by that scrum. It was a really good push from shove from Old Boys, and they put Clifton under pressure. I have to say that the Clifton nine's actually done, considering Henley Setu, considering he's probably never played halfback before in his life, he's actually done pretty well. But that's the last thing you want, is to pick up the ball at the back of the scrum and have your scrum land on your head. So another change there from Old Boys, Jack Parker. He's on for Cody Ray. And once again, good take down the back of the line out from Old Boys. They've got good shape here. Ball out to their hooker. He's just in the pocket at the moment. Clifton trying to come through out to Brodie Lilly. He forces his way through, sets the ball up nicely. And Clifton player dragged out of the way by the Old Boys attacker. Forwards have got their eyes on the try line, that's for sure. They've got a couple of numbers down the left-hand side if they want to use them, Old Boys. At the moment, the forwards are saying no. We'll just keep going. Referee having a hard look and saying held up. So good defence, Clifton, well done. It was a good line out from Old Boys. It was well taken by the hard-working lock from Canada, Mr. Boccia. And held up over the goal line means that it's going to be 22. So Matty James gets the ball. He'll be looking for as much depth or length on this kick as possible. And it's a good nudge, actually. Takes play right back just inside the Clifton half. Drop goal and off the post. Fantastic by Northcott Hill. Just took the ball and calmly as possible had a drop goal 35, 38 metres out. I would have been more impressed if he did it with his left foot.
Look, on the angle in the mud, that is a guy who's really backing himself today. And what is that the first kick that he's missed so far?
That possibly is, actually. Yeah, reminiscent. I remember watching a guy named Craig Green for Canterbury. Tough game against Counties in a Renfrew Shield game. He took a similar, he was a winger, took the ball and just knocked it over from halfway. Thanks very much. So, clever play there by Northcott Hill.
Would have just been the cherry on top of what's already been an awesome game.
Absolutely. And we'll put that down as a kick through by Parker. Looked like it was a drop ball off his knee. The referee said play on. Clifton got the ball inside the 22, and it might be a bit of a liability at the moment because with the quality of this Old Boys defence, they've really got nowhere to go. And a good driving kick, actually. Well done to their first five. He's played well today. Real competitor, and has taken play about 10 metres inside their own half.
Yeah, I think, look, these conditions have really suited the way that Old Boys have wanted to come out and play, and that's just put Clifton right on the back foot from day dot. Would have been interesting if Clifton could have turned those attacking opportunities into points early on, but Old Boys being able to hold them to 0 has been fantastic for them. Jack Parker with the line break now. Yeah, great.
Broke through 2 tackles, actually did pretty well. And good hands from Old Boys and good intent. There's sort of no mucking around. So Slater introducing himself at the bottom of that ruck to one of the Clifton reserves. There's no mucking around there. He's like, didn't like to be held, but I'm not sure if he had to bloody shake the guy like that.
10 minutes to go. It's absolutely pouring down. Old Boys 27 points up on Clifton. It looks like they're quite happy to just keep playing down in this 22.
Yeah, and Brodie Lilly takes the ball off the back of the line out. Good play there, just dragged down a couple of metres out, but Old Boys are getting really, really close there at the moment. They're probably about a metre out. They've got good shape and bounces their way over. So well done, Old Boys. They probably deserved that. They created the play. They got themselves in good position. Clifton couldn't connect with the line out. Ball went over the top. Brodie Lilly snuck around, made a good run. So well done, Old Boys. They just letting loose at the moment, Flynn, it'd be fair to say.
Yeah, I think, look, if you weren't 100% comfortable saying the game was in the bag after they scored their last try, you'd have to be pretty close to it now. 39-7, 9 minutes to play. I just can't see Clifton getting back into this game, especially when Northcott Hill still has a kick to come.
Absolutely. So just down to the last 8 minutes of play.
And look, I imagine when the big heads at the Old Boys Club room start to get together and think about things, it's been a pretty successful day all around. 1 point loss for the Colts in the final minute. They were very unlucky to go down. The Ulsko Division 1 boys managed to find a win for themselves, and it looks like the Prems are right on track to book themselves in the finals as well. So it should be a very good Saturday next week for New Plymouth Old Boys.
Yeah, great result for the club today, and plenty of effort from all the players and the club itself and the coaches. So good reward for some hard work this season, as Northcote Hill, for probably the first time in a couple of weeks, misses one from a conversion. So yeah, Old Boys really comfortable at the moment now, 39-7, and Clifton being pinned inside their own half. See a bit of frustration coming in, but they just haven't had the ball and they haven't had the field position. So good kick down and good chase there by the Clifton number 9. Looks like he's replaced Naholo. So ball pops out the side and the referee says that Brodie Lilly's on. He scoots up and picks up a couple of metres. Good pick and go there by Slater. Good tackle there by the Clifton hooker. And who's surprised, the guys picking up and going again is Botcher out to JJ Purkoi. He tries to step his way through and does well, gets up over halfway. So good shape here. They've got good numbers. Old Boys both sides of the ruck. There's some good options here. Out to Slater. He takes the tackle, goes through, resets. Out to Brayton Northcote Hill. Back into Bochet. Botcher, he flicks it up, comes off the knee. So Clifton get the ball on half-time, and halfway rather, and this is probably the first time in maybe 15, 18 minutes that Clifton's actually had the ball this half. So be interesting what happens from here. Out to Matty James, he flicks it into the number 8. Nothing on there, he's a wee bit isolated. Forwards get across. Good tackle there by Parker, actually held him up. So it just gives his side time to get realigned and get the defence organised.
A lot of Clifton forwards in their ruck. It's really taken a lot of their numbers to recycle their ball.
Yeah, it really has actually. There's 6 guys over there and there's not many left to actually play the game with. So takes it in again. And a little sniping run down the side there from the Clifton halfback. Fullback comes in to act as halfback. Head down, a bit of a charge. They're slowly making some ground, Clifton. Good wide pass, great pass actually, out to their number 9. And he looks like a pretty nippy player actually. Pass up to the number 8. Their forwards haven't come across at all. So, and there's no halfback. And good play by James actually, probably a wee bit unlucky there. Referee finally calling for an offside from Old Boys, but Clifton were just, maybe they're out on their feet, but their forwards are all just in the middle of the paddock. Out to Parker, he has a look, nothing on there, so he takes the tackle, does well looking after the ball, so Old Boys back in control.
And, Clifton is still asking questions and tackling hard. There's still a lot of force left in this game with 5 minutes to go.
Yes, there is, absolutely.
Just got it a little bit wrong there though.
Yeah, the number 8 came up a wee bit high and caught Pokai around the throat, so referee doing the right thing, as you'd expect, and just said, hey, high shot, nothing in that, no intent. The number 8's played well for Clifton today. He's made a lot of tackles. So Northcote Hill looks to find a wee bit of territory, and not a bad nudge. Takes play just outside the Clifton 22. So there's a bit of conversation going on with the Old Boys line-out forwards.
From here we can hear the Old Boys bench talking to each other, and they've decided that they're not happy with 39 points. They want some more.
Yeah, well, that's one thing Old Boys have done well this season. They've really played for 80 minutes. Good wraparound play once again. And Clifton giving Pokai a lot of space. And, man, he just drags his way over the 22. Good skip pass. Hard tackle there. Out to the Clifton, well picked up by the Clifton flanker. And a couple of knock-ons. The referee's going to say that Old Boys were the first to knock on. And that's the end of the game, so well done. It was very much a quick finish to the game. Big thank you today to young Flynn Robertson for helping us out, stepping in at short notice for our normal commentator Phil Gard. So thank you for your time, and thanks to everyone for their support, and good luck to all the teams in the finals next week.